Evening, everyone. Okay. To a certain degree, it might seem like starting off in the drum kit before I go to talk about alternating current seems a little odd or superfluous. But as Jonathan mentioned, I've like also played drums and percussion, but specifically, I've been a professional jazz musician for 30 years. And it's one of the things I studied. And it actually informs everything that I do. Basically the sound of this and the musicians I play with every day or every week of my life is essentially what tunes and keys my ear into checking what I do. Everything that I deal with at AudioQuest has to do with science. Everybody in the audiophile world talks about a passion for music. I think everyone's sincere about that. It's a wonderful thing. But so often, as is the situation, it's very easy to get stuck with just the numbers, stuck with just the measurements, and losing sight of what everything sounds like. Everything that I do is real science. Everything's measured again. Everything's checked against, infinite variables. And then every last idea, every single nuance, everything that could be adjusted, every single part, every connection is listened to and listened to again, to basically get me as close to this that I live and breathe every single day. And also, the other thing that it has in common is the thing that anything that we have to experience sound through at Ultra Fidelis is more than good enough to be able to reproduce the things that it would face in a laboratory, sine tones or a square wave. Relatively easy. That's not what music is. With music, you have such a high level of harmonics. You have such complexity. You have such a gradation of dynamics and microdynamics. So those are the things that are the truth table for me. Be able to reproduce as close as we can, realistic expectations, because we'll never achieve perfection. Trying to achieve perfection is part of the challenge for all of us that have dedicated our lives to this. But getting a serious taste of that is a big part of what I'm about and the passion for what I have. That being said, just let's tune our ears around the real thing and not just like a system.